My driving instructor always said to me that council get rid of money in April because it's end of financial year. I don't know about beware the Ides of March, but beware the traffic cones of April I do agree with. 45 minutes I sat in that traffic. I get very impatient. Mother claims that I was probably a chariot racer in a previous life in Roman times. But I like routine, I do. I like to be at home 5:30, dinner at 6:30, bed and bath 8, and then that's me set for the day. But I'm all in a quilter today, a bit discombobulated. I don't know if it's because the bypass was shut and that diversion. 45 minutes I sat in that traffic, honestly, and then when my bladder started to press and then the lights changed at the crossing, it just added to the time I was waiting. I don't think I would have noticed had the dog not barked, but it more of a yelp actually. I grew quite concerned. That was why I gave that woman one of my looks, gave her one of my stares. It was only when she smiled at me all sheepishly that I realised it was Judy Baker with a dog. Couldn't sleep last night. Couldn't get the image of Judy Baker out of my face. Took me hours to get off. Must have been here on 30 years since I've seen her. Well, it's 30 years actually this August. You see, I've always been very good with dates, whereas my sister, she's much more into names and places. She can remember all of them. I phoned her earlier and I said I saw Judy Baker with a dog. She said she'd do some Facebook stalking. She's like Juliet Bravo, that one. We had quite a nice chat on the phone. Nearly an hour we were talking, reminiscing about all the kids who used to live down our street. We did laugh. There were the twins, Paula and Chloe. Well, they were very into their brownies. Oh, very keen, Used to annoy Mother because they'd always be saying, "Can we make your beds or can we make your tea?" Because they always wanted a new brownie badge. They were livid when girl above us at school, she actually got a proper Blue Peter badge. Then there were John Ferrier. He used to make strange noises. Mother said he was nervous. Don't know what he had to be nervous about. And Mother was one to talk about nerves. She had a phobia of bats, didn't she? And then we spoke about Sarah Stein. It's horrible, really. Big fat cow she were. You wouldn't want her on your team during manhunt. And in assembly, when we used to sing, that song, Every Colour Under the Sun, people used to sing, if you want to paint a picture of Sarah's bum, you need every colour under the sun. You think the humiliation would have made her, want to lose weight, but it didn't, it just drove her to the tuck shop. You are what you eat, Mother used to say. And I believed that as a child. Our neighbour Marie, she were ginger and full of freckles, and all she ever ate were wotsits. That was when we first met Darren Baker, Judy's son. Marie next door, she were obsessed with horses. She were like an olden day Claire Balding. Obviously she didn't own a horse. Well, none of us did. Who could afford a horse? We all thought Pat across the road had won lottery when she had Sky fitted. See, what Marie had was she had, those bamboo sticks, and each one of them were named after a horse, and she used to ride them up and down the garden. Sometimes she'd invite my sister Lucia and I over, and we could choose a horse. Oh, it felt wonderful choosing a horse to ride. It were only a stick. We were allowed to choose any horse we wanted, except the red stick, because that was Samson, and that was the fastest one. Honestly. It were amazing to see Marie sprinting up and down garden, controlling that beast between her legs. Honestly, I remember calling out to Lucy and saying, "Come look at her." Honestly, kids will believe anything, won't they? See, it wasn't Samson though that first attracted Darren Baker. See, Marie also had a small bichon friche called Kylie, named after the pop singer. Darren were obsessed with Kylie. See, he always wanted a puppy, and his mum wouldn't buy him one, so he just came over to keep stroking Kylie, and that was how we got to know him quite well. As time passed, we got to know Judy very well. Well, she was one of those who were really into the community, you know, part of the PTA, used to all the school discos and fairs. There were her and another lady, Sandra Shaw. They used to organise everything. You know, if somebody had died down the street, well, Judy and Sandra would do all the collections. And Sandra got ill herself. I remember Mother always said that she remembers looking out of our back window one Christmas Eve it were, and she could see Sandra sitting in her back parlour in her dressing gown, all sly, just in a chair on her own. And you see, Mother said that she knew that Sandra was sitting there, remembering that that would be her last Christmas with her kids. She died not soon after, actually. Well, we didn't need to be told that Sandra had died because, well, Judy came and done the collection on her own. I sometimes wonder if Judy wished that she could have swapped places with Sandra. I remember the day, well, it were August, but it were raining and it were really overcast, very dark. Mother were on edge all day in case the bats got confused. We had been out that morning to get new school uniform, which I never quite enjoyed, and then that evening it were football training, which I didn't enjoy either. I used to hate going football training. Honestly, my dad used to have to pull me out of the car. I mean, I just wanted to stay in there and listen to my Madonna tapes. I didn't mind match days too much because I like Burger Van. In fact, Lucy used to tease me and say, you'd only win a football trophy if the Burger Van man gives one away. Still, I've never really understood football, and I don't understand why men go to the pub to watch football. I mean, well, I don't go to the pub to watch Coronation Street, do I? Anyway, on the drive home, when we got back in the street, well, it was deserted and there were deathly silence. Well, it would be, wouldn't there, with that weather? We got inside and Mother said, go upstairs and put away your school uniform and get changed for football. As I got upstairs, the weather started to change. The sun were coming out and I was dreading football, and then there were a knock on the door with those twins. Make sure you've made your bed, Mother cried out. I'm not giving any more of that brownie shite, she said. Well, I thought they were just knocking, you know, to see if we wanted to come out to play, but they weren't. They were knocking to tell us Darren Baker were dead. See, while Lucy and I were obsessed with Samson the horse, Darren were obsessed with Kylie the puppy. Well, his mum wouldn't let him have a puppy. She said she couldn't abide fur, which I found quite strange actually, because she wore all types of furs when it come to winter. It turns out that day they'd also been out school uniform shopping, and as they were walking back, well, Judy had seen one of her friends, so she got chatting, and well, Darren got bored, as you tend to when your mum's talking away. Out of the corner of his eye, he'd seen Kylie, who, sick and tired of being neglected for Samson, had decided to walk out of Marie's garden. I mean, Darren, well, he slipped away from his mum, and there he were. He only went to cross the road, and well, he didn't look, did he? It was a blue Ford Cortina that killed him. Well, it weren't even going fast, but he was dead instantly. Judy were a recluse after that. No one ever saw her, and what was Sandra Short dying the previous February? Well, there no one to do a collection for Darren. It turns out, because Lucy did a Facebook stalking, that Judy Baker, well, she now runs a dog training school. I mean, funny that. She wouldn't buy Darren a dog in life, and now she surrounds herself with him in death. I told Dad I was too upset to go football training that night. I mean, I just sat upstairs and listened to my Madonna tapes. I could see people started to lay flowers on the spot where Darren had been run over. I noticed Marie next door had placed something there, and as she were walking away, well, I couldn't work out what it were because it weren't flowers. I was straining, a bit like how Madonna was straining to reach top notes on Chorus of Cherish. And it was then that I saw that Marie had placed a little wooden cross where Darren had died. But it weren't a normal cross, it were red. I think Darren would have liked it. Marie had made the ultimate sacrifice. Finally retired Samson.